Bases dropped on Thursday Thoughts here on SDH. John here, you there. Thanks for dropping by this morning, as you always do. And it'll be as the way it is at Brant. I know, it's 8:06, 9:06. I know. What I'm trying to do. Apparently, I have to reset some things. It's like you duck out once, and then the computer doesn't like you. So I don't know what's going on, but John, are you there? It's a Thursday, and hour number 2 is the Power Hour, as it always is, with Nino and Niko dropping by. And with Nino, it is going fully loaded. We usually take the tour about everything going on in South America and Europe. We got all that morning, Alex. And then with Niko coming in at 10:30, we always have a handoff. I don't know what's on the handoff. I never ask Nino and Niko what's on their mind as they do the handoff. You reach down, you try to grab something, and it's not there. So have the handoff for the last half hour of the show. Then we'll talk to Niko Moreno from our buddy from Pulso Sports on the Soccer Bar about what's on his mind when it comes to Major League Soccer. We got 2 games this weekend, and they're makeup games to get everybody to 33. We've got an international window, and we've got everything that happened last weekend. And maybe I'll ask a little Tacoma Defiance stuff too as we get into to everything MLS Next Pro and Major League Soccer. So maybe there'll be a Tacoma Defiance question for Niko as we go this morning. Hour number 1, it's news of the AM to get you ready for your day. There are a couple of things that I wanted to get into this morning. And one is the article over at The Athletic about what's going on in League One, specifically in Fresno. And also, it'll be opening kickoff leading into the news of the morning is the 22 under 22. And we'll go over that list as well. So that'll be the rundown for the morning. If you missed it yesterday, there's another club that is hopping into the NPSL up in New Jersey. And so we catch up with PDA Hibernians and their technical director, Brian Grazier. So if you missed that interview, it's up on the network. And you can catch up there with everything that's going on in the NPSL. Also, tomorrow, we're going to be catching up with our friends on tape at now Ozark United, formerly known as USL NWA, Northwest Arkansas. Chris Martinovich is going to be catching up with us on tape because he's got like a real job. In addition to getting Ozark United, now Ozark United off the ground. And so we'll catch up with Chris. That'll get posted to the network tomorrow afternoon, in addition to everything else that's there. Tomorrow on the show, see if we can get Jason to drop by. We'll catch up with him about the college scene, catch up with him about what's going on with Atlanta United, catch up with him about MLS Next Pro. So if Jason drops by, if we can catch him and grab that comment by the tail, we'll go through everything in MLS Next Pro in Major League Soccer with Atlanta United and with the college game, because there's a lot of college stuff going on. If you didn't catch it, and it's a really cool thing that Jason and Maddie are up to this season with all of the time that they get to spend, whether it's with our friends at Oglethorpe or at Georgia State. It's the box-to-box series, and being able to do the box-to-box series, we get to catch up with players and kind of pick their brain a little bit and find out what's going on in their minds. Find out about their teammates, find out about their game, their role models. Then the last one, and I would and I guess it is a longer box-to-box than what we are used to. But it's worth it because you end up with Jada Foose, who is the starting keeper for Georgia State, and Maddie going box to box at their training facility. You find out some things about Jada. You find out some things about Maddie. And you find out what Jada thinks about some things about Maddie. So it's well worth it. But no, the box-to-box features very, very cool as a part of what happens on the network. So very, very cool stuff there as well. And whatever's on your mind as we go this morning, doesn't matter if it's MLS based, doesn't matter if it's MLS Next Pro, anything overseas, anything on your mind, drop it in the Twitch pitch. We'll talk about it too as well. But like I said, hour number 1, news of the day, stories you kind of need to know. Get you into hour number 2. Hour number 2 is the Power Hour with our buddy Nino Torres and with Niko Moreno, and that gets us into any other breaking news that breaks after the show. That's when we filibusters, usually about 11:05, to see if anything breaks before we head into the rest of the day. So that's the next couple days here on SDH. You'll also have your episodic programming, the review preview shows of USL Championship, USL League One, MLS Next Pro will get you ready for playoffs and things like that. So whatever's on your mind as well. All right, opening kickoff. Brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. That's your QR code. And what you do, you hit that QR code that gets you into Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. You start your day there. There's an easy pun, but I'm going to go ahead and leave it on the board. So you hit that QR code, you drift into Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Don't forget the code SoccerDownHere15 when you check out. You get 15% off your purchase. They, in turn, take 10% reinvested into youth games, youth initiatives from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Now, we went through the lists of the early award nominees and things like that. I think we went through all of them. And it was an interesting list. And the other listing that was posted was the 22 under 22. And once again, that is Major League Soccer players under the age of 22 as voted on by an expert panel. And I guess this is how it's posted on the MLS website. Yes. Morning Knicks. Voted on by an expert panel of select MLS staff, MLS season pass talent, and club technical staff. So I'm going to go through eligibility criteria. Players remain 21 or younger before the end of the 2024 MLS regular season, which is decision day, October 19. Players must be born after October 19 of 2002. The voting period was from September 23rd to September 25th. We are currently October 10. So I'm going to go in reverse order. I'm going to go in reverse order from 22 to 1 in the expert panel's mind. And we'll see if there's anybody that you guys think might shoulda for a future present participle version of the word that should have been added to the list. So here we go. Peyton Miller from the New England Revolution, 16-year-old defender. David Ruiz from Messi and Friends, 20-year-old midfielder. Christian McFarland, NYCFC, 17-year-old defender. David Martinez, LAFC, 18-year-old midfielder. Kevin Sullivan, Philadelphia Union, 15-year-old midfielder. Owen Wolf, Austin FC, 19-year-old midfielder. Julian Aude from LAG, 21-year-old defender. Kevin Kelsey, FC Cincinnati, 20-year-old forward. Nathan Saliba, 20-year-old midfielder for CF Montreal. Chris Brady, 20 years old, keeper, Chicago Fire. Tomas Aviles, Messi and Friends, 20-year-old defender. Daniel Edelman, 21-year-old midfielder for Red Bulls. Esmir Bayraktarovic, 19-year-old forward for the Revs. Jalen Neal, 21-year-old defender for LAG. Quinn Sullivan, 20-year-old midfielder for Philadelphia Union. Obed Vargas, 19-year-old midfielder for Seattle. Now we're to the final 6. Kromoski and Redondo for Messi and Friends. Kromoski's 19, Redondo's 21. Brian Gutierrez, the 21-year-old midfielder for Chicago Fire. Jack McGlynn, Philadelphia Union, 21-year-old midfielder. Diego Luna, 21-year-old midfielder for RSL. And the number 1 is Diego Gomez for Messi and Friends, the 21-year-old midfielder. Across the board, that's a lot of great talent. That's a lot of great work that was done by said panel. But somebody's missing. Who do you think is missing? I want to post that to you, dear viewer, listener. I've got a name in mind, and I want to see if you've got the same name that I do. Obviously, being a show that is anchored here in Atlanta, it's easy for us to sit here and say that the name is attached to the local franchise. And it is. But I want to see if you would agree if the name that I have in mind for the 22 under 22 would be attached to your list as well, and where this particular individual would fit. Yeah, I mean, if you want to rank, fine. If you don't, that's fine too. I would understand that one completely. But there's a name that I have in my head, and I would wonder if this particular individual would be on your list as well. Knicks, you win. You absolutely win. It is Jay Fortune. And that's why I'm chasing after the statistics for Jay. And laying it all out there for Jay Fortune to be a part of this list. Why he's not, I have no idea. Because remember, this is an expert panel. An expert panel that MLS staff, MLS season pass talent, and club technical staff. Jay Fortune is 21. So he would still qualify December 30, 2002. And so, I mean, yes, he is kind of, he is somewhat laid out for this list once again. Born or after October 19, 2002. Jay qualifies by about 2 months. So, Nick's, to answer your question, let's get into the Jay Fortune numbers here. So you look at Jay, and to answer your question, Nick's, let's get into minutes. Jay Fortune, 1,220 minutes, 26 appearances, 12 starts. 14 matches in substitution. Obviously, he had the one goal. Passing percentage at 88%. 2 assists on the year. Total scoring attempts for Jay, 13. Shots on target, 4. Attacking assists, 11. XG of 0.95 on the season, and then we get into offsides and cards and things like that. So, Jay Fortune played 1,220 minutes to date for Atlanta United in this season. All right. So if you were to put him in the midfielder listing. So Nick's, as an example, let's compare his with Kevin Sullivan for an example. Okay, so let's compare with Kevin Sullivan. So Kevin Sullivan, and I know that this is, me banging on a computer keyboard. So Kevin Sullivan, in the match log, let's go career stats. Career stats for Kevin Sullivan. 3 games played for Philadelphia Union, 10 minutes. 2 shots, both on target, passing at 100%, and the foul suffered, 1. So Kevin Sullivan, 3 matches, 10 minutes. He's on this list. So Kevin Sullivan's on this list. And so, I mean, and honestly, if you want to, let's look at the list. And I'm going to write down by position. So, and because I don't want there to be like some, imbalance or something like that. And we also have the dates that have been made public for all the offseason stuff. Okay, so forward, midfielder, defender. And maybe a keeper. All right, so defender, midfielder, defender, 3 midfielders, defender. Kevin Kelsey's a forward. Saliba's a midfielder. Brady's a keeper. Aviles as a defender. Edelman, midfield. Bayraktarovic is a forward. Now, I was concerned about balance and trying to come up with, did they do a balanced list? But they obviously did not. 3, 6, 7, 8, and 8 midfielders. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so 14 midfielders on this list, 2 forwards, 5 defenders, and a keeper. So looking at midfielders, say, and to Alex's point, and Alex does make a good point about Messi and friend, but if you were to put in, say, Owen Wolf as an example, now, like I said, I'm only gonna sit here and look at midfielders for the moment. So Owen Wolf's stats. So we're looking at 1,220 minutes. We're looking at 1,220 minutes for Jay Fortune. Owen Wolf played 1,692 minutes in 32 matches this year. So Owen Wolf is in the same neighborhood. 1 goal, 3 assists, just in minutes. Played a lot of matches for his dad. So also on the list, and I'm going, like I said, I'm going up the list of 22, and I'm trying to look at midfielders specifically, because if you're looking at midfielders, I think you've got to pull one or swap one out. But considering that 14 of the 22 under 22 are midfielders, I'm not so sure about that. So, if we just pulled names, we've been able to watch Peyton Miller, Bayraktarovic, players like that. David Martinez at LAFC. Let's just, like I said, I'm pulling midfielders just to pull midfielders for the sake of comparison. But once again, you're sitting there and you're going, okay, that's an interesting omission. So David Martinez, they even wrote an article about it at LAFC. 18-year-old Venezuelan, 19th on the list, voted by the expert panel. Joined as a part of the deal. 15 regular season appearances, 3 starts, 4 goals, 1 assist in 363 minutes. Second youngest player to score for LAFC in a regular season game, found the back of the net. First LAFC player 18 years of age or younger to register at least 5 goal contributions in a single season. Played for Venezuela U17, U20. So David Martinez a part of the U22. But once again, looking at this list, once again assembled by experts, Jay Fortune not on this list, which once again raises the people's eyebrow about how much folks really do watch in these situations, and then once again bringing to the floor the notion of popularity contests, etc., etc., etc. So Nathan Saliba, CF Montreal, 400 more minutes than Jay, 24 matches played. He played 28 matches last year, 20 starts. So Nathan Saliba's in his second year, goal and assist, 1,650 minutes this year for CF Montreal. Then you get into, Edelman, who we've seen. Quinn Sullivan, I would have on the list before Kevin Sullivan. I get the shiny object idea, but 3 matches in 10 minutes for 22 under 22. So I bring to the floor for discussion and or representation and implementation the fact that Jay Fortune is not on this list, which once again makes me wonder. The expert panel of select MLS staff, MLS season pass talent, and club technical staff, average age 19 and a half, 16 homegrown, 6 U22s. Messi and friends had 5 players. The youngest player, obviously, was Kevin Sullivan. But to Alex's point in this list, we always run our mouths about the Gulfstream Galacticos. We always do, because it's an easy target. You can see how much they depend on young guys. Great balance. Alex is absolutely correct here. Like I said, as much as we run all of the old man smack, you brought in Diego Gomez, Redondo, and Kromoski, and Kromoski is staying for a couple of years. He signed the new deal. But remember, at the same time, it's all about controlling the asset. Tomas Aviles, who needs to kind of calm things down a little bit. He needs to dial it back about 9 notches on the caffeinated coffee. And then David Ruiz. So let me check David Ruiz's numbers just as a point of comparison. But once again, I'd love to know who puts the list together, other than it being experienced folks. But you end up with, once again, omissions that should not be omissions. And it always makes you raise the people's eyebrows to figure out, okay, what the heck's going on? David Ruiz is an example, 28 matches, 11 starts, comparable minutes, 1,075, a goal, 3 assists, 12 shots, 3 on target, passing at 87%. But once again, David Ruiz is more of an offensive role than Jay Fortune is. Maybe it's the whole thing about the offensive lineman. 16 fouls, 20 suffered, 2 yellows and a red. So comparable for David Ruiz, numbers-wise. But David Ruiz is more of an offensive posture than what we see with Jay. Once again, 26 matches, 12 starts, 1,220 minutes. 1 goal, 2 assists, passing at 88%, so on and so forth. So Jay qualified by 2 months on this list, the age of 21 right now, not on this list. And once again, that raises the people's eyebrow. But in opening kickoff, once again, I just wanted to bring that to the floor, and I wanted to know if I was nuts by not having Jay Fortune on this list. Like I said, I get the shiny object of Kevin Sullivan in the age of 15. I get it. But if you're going to put a list together, maybe you need to get your wording laid out, put some minimum specs in there. Or is it shiny object? Because what we've seen from Jay Fortune this year, Jay Fortune should be on this list. But he's not. So as always, as we say, dear listener, dear reader, caveat emptor. That is a fancy term in Latin for buyer beware. So when you have these lists and you have all of this stuff pieced together, just, do not be surprised by the results. Peyton Miller, David Ruiz, Christian McFarland at NYC, David Martinez, Kevin Sullivan, Owen Wolf, Julian Aude, Kevin Kelsey, Nathan Saliba, Chris Brady, Tomas Aviles, Edelman, Byrik Terovich, Jalen Neal, Quinn Sullivan, Obed Vargas, Kromoski, Redondo, Brian Gutierrez, Jack McGlynn, Diego Luna, Diego Gomez. Some of the high-powered names on this list, zero qualm whatsoever. Like I said, Tomas Aviles, I think, kind of needs a little bit of decaf occasionally. Chris Brady putting in minutes with the Fire. But the lower half of the list, if we're swapping out names, like I said, how was this list assembled? What are you staring at? Are you staring at output and activity, or are you doing shiny objects? It's obvious by this list it's shiny objects. That you're going to put on a shiny object over someone that puts in the work. Jay Fortune should be on this list. With how his game has improved and evolved over the last handful of years, Jay Fortune should be on this list, but he is not. And that's a shame. That's opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. That's your QR code, once again, right there. QR code, you hit that QR code to start your day with Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Don't forget to use the code SoccerDownHere15. When you check out, you get 15% off your purchase. They in turn take 10%, reinvest it, youth games, youth initiatives. Just ask our friends Melissa Ortiz, who's a part of this. Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Oh, by the way, did you know that we're up for an award? We're up for an award, people. We have until Sunday dinner time, our time. When Big Ben hits midnight, Sunday night, Monday morning, that's when the fan vote is done. We are in a competition at the Football Content Awards. It was humbling and shocking when they let us know about this, that we are up for as one of the 10 finalists in the Best Media Organization Broadcaster Rights Holder. And so 50% of it is fan vote, 50% is the judging aspect of it. The fan vote goes until the 13th, midnight the 13th. And so I'm imagining, if I'm going backwards, 6 o'clock our time, Sunday night. You can stuff the ballot box as best you can. Go and find as many IP addresses as you can put your hands on and vote for SDH. And thanks to everybody who has voted for SDH so far in this competition. Vote more. Time to get out your slingshot and your stones, people, because of who we are going up against in this competition, which is just wild to think about. That we have been absolutely just blessed. That we are absolutely blessed to be in this competition. Absolutely blessed. So we have a lot of international folks that are going up against us. We are 3. Thank you, Tommy. We are 3 of the national, 7 that are international. It is us, ESPN FC, and Golasso Network. Those are your 3 domestics. Us, Golasso Network, and ESPN FC. And then you also end up with the 7 competitors in England that are going up against this. Prime, BBC, DAZN, ITV, Sky, TalkSport, and TNT, which used to be BT Sports. So it's us and them. Now, like I said, I don't know if it goes past October 13, that if you that they come up with finalists or not. But still, if you can do us a solid and stuff the ballot box, that'd be great. Because I think the other 9 are going to cancel each other out with their listeners and their owners and their viewers and things like that and their fans. So stuff the ballot box as best you can, and then make sure that, like I said, and if we end up being a finalist, yeah, we're going. And yeah, I'm probably going to end up doing a show from a hotel room in London that week. It'll be the 21st of November, like basically a week to the day before Thanksgiving, is when they are having the awards at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I don't know if it's like in the suite where all of the fancy folks just go, all the season ticket holders and the suite holders, they go to have their meal, or if it's on the field. I don't know. But I don't know if there's finalists after October 13, and then I don't know what the other parameters are. But stuff the ballot box if you can. If you can help us out, that'd be fantastic. Whoop, whoop, give us a solid, all that kind of stuff. But very, very humbling when we got that word from FCA that we are being considered a finalist in this award. So stuff the ballot box between now and dinner time on Sunday. So there you go. footballcontentawards.com/voting. Vote. And there are others that you can vote for if you want, or if you just want to vote for best organization, broadcaster rights holder, you can do that too. So, so there you go. All right. And Bart, I know that you and I are going to have, disagreements about these kinds of things, but yeah, I would, like I said, and Bart is like 1 goal, 2 assists for a bad team not getting looks from his national team this year, pushing for the homegrown, not a strong argument. If it's not a strong argument, then what I would ask is this. I want to know what your parameters are. All right, like I said, I want to know if it's shiny object in Captain Sullivan, who has 3 matches and 10 minutes against someone who has improved to where he has been part of a midfield that's more of a 6 than anything else. So, so I want to know what's going on. I want to know what the thought process is here. Jarrett's in this morning. Hi, Jarrett.
Hi, what are we mad about?
Jay not being a part of the U20, the 22 under 22 list. That's where I was. Yeah, Jay Ford not on that list.
I don't know if he got enough minutes in the first half of the season, man. I think that could be part of it.
Well, but like I said, Kevin Sullivan played 3 matches and got 10 minutes. And so, like I said,
Kevin Sullivan's been sold to Man City.
but
I mean, and look, here's also the thing about these, that when we find these lists, we have to remember that not unlike Leagues Cup, which is a TV show, it is there for ratings.
Yeah, no doubt.
These lists are there to draw clicks, and they are there to create reaction and create content and create interaction.
Yeah, did that for
why they exist.
Oh yeah,
but it's why they exist. So yeah, you're going to put a guy on there who's played 10 minutes. Yeah.
I mean,
it's you're going to have guys on there that make sense, but you're also going to put things on there that drive content and drive discussion. So we just have to remember that these are entertainment things, no matter what the talking heads at Apple may want to say, or at MLS Digital may want to say and stomp their feet and claim it's not that. So much of it is entertainment. So much of it is driving attention. No, and I agree with Bart. They didn't promote him enough. And he was getting play from the national team in Trinidad. Not as consistently. I mean, if he scored last year for them,
right?
But yeah, you got a decision to make about him, by the way, as well in the offseason. How you want to structure out this midfield, because some of it is also that people look at things from an entertainment perspective. Like I think it was Doyle was floating the idea of Paul Pogba with Atlanta. Jesus. He wasn't floating it from just a strictly player perspective. I mean, he can make the argument. I don't know what Paul Pogba has left in the tank, just because he's missed a bunch of time and his whole entire career has been chaotic and has had the fluidity of a Hugh Grant monologue.
Yes.
But a lot of it was the marketing side of it. And the marketing side of it can be nice, but it doesn't win games, and it doesn't always consistently put butts in the seats.
Yeah. And the chaos of Paul Pogba, I saw that and I was like, yeah, I know why you're doing that. So
I mean, he fleshed out why he was doing it. He fleshed out the details. But yeah, again, I don't know what Pogba has physically, and also you do have questions. I mean, you're gonna have a lot of questions about this midfield, about Tristan William-Ba got that spot snatched from him by Jay at times this year, and Jay played great. Tristan opened that door and did not close the door back, and so Jay just kicked it in.
Yeah.
Bartek Sliš was inconsistent. Look, that man got out jumped for a header by Luciano Acosta.
Yes.
That's
unacceptable.
Yeah, it's unacceptable. You got some decisions to make on, cojones with guys here about how you want to structure that midfield. You have Jay, who's out of contract, I believe, or in an option year at the end of his homegrown deal. How do you want to address that midfield? Because the two guys you brought in, one of whom was on now TAM on DP worthy money, they didn't dominate the midfield the way you needed them to, game in and game out.
Yep.
How do you fix that?
Yep.
Do you think you can get more out of the guys you have here, or do you go get somebody? Because this is the world market, and if I need to find a place to drop somebody off, I will find a place to drop somebody off, even if it takes a little bit of a loss, because you still made $50 million on sale, $40 million, on sales over the summer. You find a way.
Yeah. Yeah. and so you have all of those things that are in play with this roster, and so it's going to be. I don't remember what my password is. God bless America. I hate these things.
There's the U22 list is always fun. There's always grievances, and I swear some of it is built in the sense of just driving content. Yeah, put a kid on there who's played 10 minutes, who's gotten sold to Man City, and that's fun. We'll see what happens. I hope he does well.
No, I'm not denying any kind of
but also every time this happens, I think of a guy like Martin Odegaard, who was sent to Real Madrid when he was 16.
Yeah.
And just languished for a while. Now he found himself eventually to greater Arsenal, but that was a slow process for him. I'm always nervous when we take these young kids and it's, mega club A, B, or C comes for them and wants to spend big money on them. And then they're just going to farm them out for a couple of years. And I worry about consistency and them having a, consistent good voice in their ear and having the right environment and that sort of thing. It looks great for the team to say we sold a player to so-and-so. Like Atlanta can play, we sold Caleb Wiley to Chelsea.
Yep.
Chelsea turned around and loaned him out to one of their farm teams. But I always do get nervous about when the kids make these kinds of moves because there's no guarantees.
Yes. So like I said, that raised my eyebrow this morning. And like I said, if you're going to tell me what your parameters are other than shiny, if it's shiny object, fine. Tell me it's a shiny object. If there's something attached to it, then there's something attached to it. So that was just my biggest thing. If you're not going to have someone like Jay on this list and you're going to put on shiny object, tell me that. Instead of just sitting there going, okay, he's 15, signed with Manchester City. He's played 3 minutes on the first team level for 10 minutes. Just like that was my larger issue.
Also, a holding midfielder, it's harder to get the attention. I mean, I think you have to consider that too.
Yeah, it's like winning the Outland Trophy.
It's hard. It's hard to get. It's hard. You're not playing a position that is going to generate attention. I mean, we've seen Obed Vargas, be talked about. And then just kind of like everybody just kind of looked at him and went, that's a fun, shiny object. And then they just moved on.
Yeah.
It was old boy in Columbus who just got sold as their holding midfielder, the kid.
Well, I mean, what, Aiden?
Yes. Like Aiden got sold by Columbus and he was talked about in 2020 like that. And then it just kind of, I think once you get into one of those engine roles, they might talk about you like that for a bit.
Yeah.
But then they're going to move on to shiny objects and they're just going to consider you to be part of the engine that makes the thing move. And then you go into being basically a lineman. Yeah. Where if we're talking about you, it's because you did something wrong.
Yes.
Unless you're Darlington Nagbe, who is the unicorn of all unicorns in MLS.
Yes.
Well, and I mean that in a nice way. Like he's,
I know, absolutely.
Darlington's probably the best midfield, like one of the best, if not the best, like midfielders that this league's ever had.
Yeah.
But like people will consistently talk about Darlington, but other midfielders, generally, if we're talking about you, something went wrong.
Yes. And he's a good driver, sir. Just ask. The other thing that I wanted to get into, our buddy Nino Torres is coming in 15 minutes, and Niko's going to drop by for the final half hour of the show, as they always do for the Power Hour on Wednesday. Is Jeff Reuter's report out of The Athletic. And it involves Jermaine Jones and his suspension by the USL.
Who could have predicted this, Bart, since you're here in the chat?
Knock me over with a feather.
Yeah. Lob some grenades at you, too.
Yes.
Have fun with this, buddy. Go ahead, John. Get the details out for people who don't know it yet.
Yeah, so for those that are not subscribers to the New York Times, Jermaine Jones suspended through the end of the 24 season, according to Jeff Reuter, following an independent investigation. The summary of the investigation said it had substantiated repeated instances of harassment, retaliation, and hostility from Jones toward members of Central Valley Fuego. The USLPA, which spurred the league, and this is Reuter's writing, spurred the league to commission the investigation, also filed a separate labor complaint against the club in April, accusing the team of interrogating players about union activities and threatening to retaliate against them if they supported the union. The complaint with the National Labor Relations Board is pending. Jones has not coached the team in a match since August 30th, and neither the club nor the league announced Jones' suspension publicly. Their standard, obviously, is for clubs to determine themselves whether to announce suspensions or fines. The USL suspended Jermaine Jones on September 27, notified him, the club, and other involved parties. The investigation is closed. Findings and punishment are final, according to the league. But in separate statements, the club and a lawyer for Jones sought to cast doubt on the findings. They said they were seeking for the coach to be reinstated based on an audit of the investigation commissioned by the club. Saroush Abdi, Jones's lawyer and agent, said the audit found both substantial and procedural shortcomings that negated the investigation's findings. Abdi said, quote, Jermaine Jones was subject to bias and unfair treatment by the USLPA. Hopeful he'll rejoin the team before the season ends. Players Union, like league, considers the cycle fully complete, dismissed Abdi's assertion Jones was treated unfairly. USLPA came out with a statement through Connor Tobin, the organization's executive director. The league, obviously, the league office is in Tampa, Florida. They had other things on their mind, and so they were not in a position to respond to Reuter by the time the article went to press. So Union has not seen anything yielded from the audit. 3 active players and an employee of Fuego, obviously speaking on condition of anonymity to protect their jobs, described experiences of tension, fear, and mental anguish since Jermaine Jones joined the club, consistent with the summary findings of the league investigations. Club employee told Reuter, it's been nothing short of a complete catastrophe, and it's so toxic, it doesn't need to be like that. League investigation carried out by an outside law firm determined Jones had broken the league's policies to safeguard players in 6 different ways. The breaches described in the summary document: national origin harassment, emotional misconduct, power imbalance, harassment, hostile environment, and retaliation. The investigation found repeat instances of each of the breaches, but the summary did not detail each allegation, did not include comments from anyone involved, including Jones. Investigation produced a deeper document separate from the summary, which includes testimony. However, the club, the league, the players' union, and Jones' agent declined to provide the document to Reuter and the Athletic when they asked for it. Suspended through the end of 24. Fuego's final match scheduled for October 26th. Put on probation for the 25 season. Union came out with a rather large paragraph when attached to it. Benefits obviously are there throughout his career. We all know about his competitive nature, Jarrett, shall we say, on the field.
It's a nice way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fiery nature.
Yes. Yeah. Fiery.
I don't know, man. A lot of it just kind of like it's one of those things where it kind of feels like, oh, that's the guy on the field. It's the same guy who was the guy on the field.
Yeah.
And yeah, not great. I'm interested to see how it plays out though on the USL perspective, because USL just kind of generally like lets the teams police themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And like, if you want to dish out a punishment to your dude, you go right ahead. But yeah, it's a bad look, and I don't know where he goes from here.
Yeah,
because I feel like he already kind of had like that fiery reputation and kind of a sandpapery reputation.
Oh, no question. Yeah.
Among casuals. But now you do this. It kind of gets weird.
Yeah.
I don't know where he goes, and I don't know who brings him on for stuff, because if you do, I feel like you're going to be keeping him on the shortest of leashes possible, and you're going to need to be documenting everything.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to need to be doing like a check-in system.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, it feels like it would be more trouble than it's worth. And no, Jordan, the chat is still visible. Unfortunately, we're getting like the spam bots are popping in. That's fun.
Yes.
But yeah, man, it's just, I don't know. It feels like it's very messy.
Yeah.
And I don't know what where he goes next.
Yikes.
Assuming this like.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's to get into the interviews that Reuter had. Conversations made clear players feared retribution for speaking too candidly about their experiences. The three players that talked to Reuter claimed early in the season Jones told the players not to interact with the USLPA. Seriously, you're not supposed to you're not supposed to mention anything to the Players Association. And Jones told them any issues should be handled with the team directly. The interactions formed the basis of the labor complaint. Player to Reuter, quote, said we can't talk to the players union, but that is all right. He can do just about whatever he wants to do to you. He can pretty much bully you, harass you. You'll say nothing to nobody. You have to be quiet and take the harassment if you do the right things as a club. You don't care about getting involved with the players union. Players also said Jones repeatedly used his status as a notable ex-player to persuade players to side with him. Quote, he comes in here saying he played for the U.S. national team. He's powerful. He has friends in the federation and all over the place. He tells us that if he wants to destroy someone, he can destroy their careers, one of the players said. Jones also appeared to weaponize, and this is in the Reuter article. Jones also appeared to weaponize League One's standing to assert superiority over his players. One player told Reuter, quote, you know the funny thing? He said this is an ish league. Sidebar, Jones did not use the word ish. That's what makes me mad, the player said. He said that this is an ish league, that we're at the bottom of the pyramid. He said that he doesn't even want to be here, end quote. Another player independently said that, echoed the line. Quote, this really hit me. He said, if you're 28 and still playing League One, basically you ain't ish. You're done. Coming from a man who'd never coached anywhere in his life. In the summer, Jones asked a player on the team, according to Reuter, to retire and to instead coach to open up an international slot for a prospective signee, according to the three players and the employee. When the player declined the coaching contract, he was frozen out of the first team. One player said they don't even care about mental health, adding, thank God there's just 1 month left of the season. It's just too much. Guys are afraid to speak up because the season is still on, another player said. People want a job. This man has threatened them that coaches have a union. They call each other. If any coach calls him about you, I'm going to tell him straight up, you ain't ish. To be honest, the experience has been horrible and traumatic. Horrible and traumatic. So that's that. That's.
Are you talking about the 2024 Atlanta United season? Because that's all I see on social
media. That's what players, independent of talking to each other, told Reuter about the situation with Fuego in League One. That was what was going on. Yeah. So it is. If you have, if you have a subscription to New York Times or The Athletic, player said Jones made decisions about the team even after he went on leave as the investigation was happening. In the first game after leave against Spokane, he was on the phone with one of the assistants. They took one player out, and the coaches confirmed it was Jermaine's decision. So, yeah, he's still involved. That reminds me of the Open Cup game in Colorado.
Yeah, where the second assistant coach is, or like one of the players is like going over to his bag, like checking his phone, and the coach is like, I think it's Eric Winalda was the coach at the time.
Yeah.
Eric Winalda's in the in the locker room, one of the 25,000 players suspended in that game, like sending out messages and sending out advice.
Mm-hmm.
And then the referee's like, I know what you're doing. You have to quit going to your phone, please.
Yes. Can you like not go over there? Yeah. So if you've got, this is the required requested reading of the day. If you have the chance to check in on this piece that Jeff Reuter has pieced together about what's going on apparently at Central Valley Fuego with Jermaine Jones, that is your required requested reading of the day. Checking out the article. I mean, we pretty much have gone through most of it, but now you kind of know. Now you know the rest of the story. Why Central Valley was at the bottom of the table in the regular season, and then why they did so well in the Jägermeister Cup. Because someone was there and then someone wasn't. Draw your own conclusions. So you got that going on. Just why it took so long, I guess, is probably the best way to phrase it. Why it took so long for this to actually come across everyone's desk as, oh, this is not a surprise. I mean, I just remember, didn't he get a red at Mercedes-Benz and then had to
Yes.
take a long walk
In 2017, join me as we trek back to 2017, where this is like not long after the Rev wedding, where it looked like Atlanta was going to do a Red Wedding 2.0, because they scored in like, I think Illicid, I think, scored 2 times in the first 10 minutes. Tito Villalba does an orange card worthy tackle on Jermaine Jones, trying to take the ball off of him. A different referee might have sent Tito off. It was not a good challenge. Like, it was if that was a yellow card and you are on the tightest of leashes kind of challenge.
Yes.
But as he does the challenge and gets up, Jermaine Jones, who is the victim in this challenge, decides that role just doesn't suit his soul, and he kicks out at Tito. Mm-hmm. Like, kicks out hard at Tito and gets sent off.
Yeah.
So they end up playing down a man. Atlanta wins that game, I think, like 4-0 or like 4-1, 5, something like that. Like, oh man, I have to go find it.
Who gets there first?
2017. Oh, I don't have a keypad number on my keyboard, so there's that.
4-0, 27.
Yep. September. So, like, but they Atlanta very much called off the Dogs. I'm sorry, it wasn't in the first few minutes. It wasn't in the first 10 minutes, but they were up. They were up 3-0 after 20 minutes.
Yeah, Jermaine
Assad had 2 goals. Joseph scored. Like, Tito gets a yellow. Jermaine Jones kicks out. Almiron, because that was the game. Almiron chips the keeper. It wasn't the prettiest chip, but it technically was a chip. Yes. He chips the keeper right before halftime, and then like Atlanta. This is during that stretch. Or if you remember, Atlanta played Dallas at home, and that started just a suicidal stretch. They played on the 10th, the 13th, the 16th, the 20th, the 24th, the 27th, the 30th, and the 3rd. Like, they played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games in a month.
Yep.
And they're just like constantly playing, and a bunch of those were at home. So that any chance they got, they were trying to not die.
Yes.
They were exhausted. So like when they were up 4-0, they pulled the brakes on it real quick. Because that was a weird stretch, because they beat Dallas, they dropped 7 on New England.
Yeah.
Then the 3-3 game with Orlando, which was bonkers at the Benz. Then that one, then they beat Montreal, they beat Philly at home. They go get a draw in New England, and then they lose that home game against Minnesota on the 3rd, which is one of the games that like lives in my crawl eternally, because LGP got elbowed twice in the face and no one got sent off, and Atlanta like went down a man because Kyle Rainish, who was so Brad Guzan was with the national team.
Yep.
Alec Can was hurt. Yep. So Kyle Rainish gets the start. Kyle Rainish gets sent off for
baby.
He gets sent off for basically a dog-so, where he tackles the attacker in the box. Or at the edge of the box, he gets a red card. So it is Atlanta United legend, and I'm not joking when I say this, USL legend Alex Tambakis. Go look up his career. Alex has been amazing. He's had an outstanding career. I'm so happy for him. Alex Tambakis has to come in Atlanta, like trailing 1-0, gets 2 goals in like 10 minutes down a man. Yeah. And then there's like 8 minutes of stoppage time. This is at the end of that suicidal September and beginning of October. Yeah. And Atlanta's about to literally drop dead on the field. Minnesota scores 2 goals at the end because Atlanta's about to drop dead on the field.
Yes.
I was drunk. Anyway, I have to leave now.
Yes, Alex says so. He leaves us with an Alex Tambakis reference. So there goes Jarrett, and yeah, thank you, Jordan. This is a new addition to where things are. Our buddies at Glance LED. You can program it however you want, but right now, since we're in an international break, it is Major League Soccer, it's La Liga, and it's Premier League, and so. They have 3 different sizes of boards. If I got the bigger board, then it'd have to go up here, and I'd have to pull out some hats. So I might get to that point, but right now we're just going with the short pocket of scores here with our friends from Glance LED. It's 10 o'clock Eastern time, shortly thereafter, actually. So that means I'm late, I'm horribly late. Nothing like an Alice in Wonderland reference. So that means it is time where we dial it up, make sure that we've got our caffeine ready, that we're properly hydrated. That means that we go to Peru and we catch up with our buddy from Gold TV, because you know what that means. It's time to go fully loaded. Hour number 2. With our buddy Nino Torres, who is fully loaded, baby. What's going on?
Yellow, 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 yellow. My boy Nelson, everyone out there and soccer down here, we're ready, man. We're fully loaded, excited, all pumped about the World Cup qualifiers. Man, we got a lot of drama. We got a lot of to talk about all these teams running for 7 spots. Of course, I got stories also. Good stories, as you know, every time. All right,
and that's the cool part, is because literally I don't know what we're talking about until you tell me what we're talking about, and then I look at the list and I'm gonna go, oh, that's what we're talking about. I know that we got qualifiers, and I know that it's madness. That traditionally it is absolute madness when it comes to South American qualifying, because we talk about Brazil not being even your older brother's Brazil. It's a painful watch, and it's just it is. It's like, who are you people, and what have you done? What have you done? What have you done? what have you done with Brazil?
Bring me my Brazil back. Bring me Ronaldo back, man.
Oh gosh, just don't even. I mean, that's just painful to even think about when you're dealing with this kind of stuff. It is literally later today. It is 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and 8 o'clock Eastern. Then you got more tomorrow. You got one tomorrow, and then once again, by the time we dial it back up, October 15th, you got all 5 matches. Today, let me run through the juice boxes just before we get dialed up here.
Yes, sir.
4 o'clock, Bolivia is a plus 233 at home. Draws a plus 206. Colombia is a plus 131. 5 o'clock Eastern. Ecuador, big favorite on the minus side at a minus 159. Draws a plus 246. Paraguay is a plus 560. Venezuela, basically a plus 590. Don't be surprised in the composite if that gets close to plus 600 at home, going up against Argentina, who's a minus 185. Don't touch it. Chile is a plus 550 at home. Brazil's a minus 175. And your draws a plus 272. Your activity tomorrow involving that lovely jersey that you are currently wearing. You see the P there? That's the club that we're talking about tomorrow at 8:30, 9:30 Eastern time.
Prime time, baby. Prime time.
Peru, a plus 329 at home against Uruguay, who's a minus 103. We've got to get into the Luis Suarez comments, by the way. And a plus 215. So when you look at the first 5 matches before we even get into the second 5, what are you looking at today and tomorrow in round 1 of these 2 matches in a week?
I think Bolivia is going to keep their outstanding late running. I mean, they're going to run over. I'm not going to say they're going to run over Colombia, but I think that the favorites and their momentum is so high. As high as el alto, man. Right?
Wow.
Because I mean, there's La Paz, and they took him. Now it's 2,000 feet, 2,000 extra feet. All right, above the sea level. All right, so we're not happy playing at the top of the Everest. So let me take you to the upstairs. Let me take you to the 2nd floor. I'm gonna play up there, baby. I'm gonna play right up there in the freaking. I think we're gonna go to the outside of the atmosphere or something. I don't know, man. This is gonna be just so high, and and Bolivia is surprising, man. This is the player that nobody was counting on. Nobody was counting on, and now they won 3 in a row. And Jesus, I don't know, especially for us, that we are in the bottom part of the table. When Bolivia starts to getting points, is even more complicated for Paraguay, for Peru, for Venezuela, to get into that seven place, man. It is insane. And of course, they open early because that's the worst day of the worst part of the day to play in the altitude. They always play 2 p.m., 3 p.m. in the afternoon when after lunch, and every X factor possible that can bring into the table as a home team, they do it. And on top of that, they're playing better. So it is what it is, man. But then the other matchups, you got the Argentina going to Venezuela. There's a lot of issues there. They were about to stop the flight because there's the players in Florida. By the way, you guys okay there, right? John, there's nothing. It's too far away from there.
Yeah, for us, it was Helene and not Milton. Florida specifically is Milton, and it is a mess. Florida, absolutely a mess. Tropicana Field, the home of the Tampa Bay Rays, the cloth roof is gone.
No way.
Gone, like capital letters, GONE, gone. So the video's out there. It happened late last night as Milton was making landfall. Winds in downtown St. Pete at about 102 max, and the cloth surface that is the roof of Tropicana Field is gone.
Jesus, man, I'm sorry, man.
Yeah.
And I got a lot of friends there, but hopefully, I mean, I'm likely there. Everyone is safe, but it's
that you hopefully that you got out. Like when they said it's coming, go. Don't hang out.
Yeah, there's a lot of videos of people. Yeah, well, I'm staying because this is my house and all that, bro. But I don't know. But anyway, all the
the other matchups before you get into it: Argentina right now at 18, Colombia 16 points, Uruguay at 15 points, Ecuador 11 points. They're in fourth with the points deduction. Brazil has lost 4 of 5. They're at 10 points. They're in fifth. Venezuela 10 points. They've drawn 3 of 4. Paraguay right now is 9 points in seventh. Bolivia has won 3 of 4. They're at 9. You mentioned Chile's lost 3 in a row, 4 of 5. And then Peru, your beloved Peru, 1 point, 2 points in your last 3 matches. And right now you're at 3 points, 0-3 and 5. Continue.
No wins for Peru. The craziest match that I'm picturing on this round of qualifiers, the one is the Battle of Santiago. Chile versus Brazil. Chile hosting Brazil. Chile is in a desperate need of points, and the relationship with the head coach Ricardo Gareca, who was our coach before, right? He took us to the World Cup in 2018, and he was with us for 7 years. Now he's with the opponents, man, with the Chileans. It's madness. We don't want to see you wearing the red and the lonely star there. No. Anyway. He's not doing well. He hasn't won a game yet. There's all these voices, all this noise from outside with Chilean former captain Arturo Vidal dropping bombs here, dropping bombs there. Lucha Suarez, you're not the only one, by the way. Arturo Vidal is the king of dropping bombs on coaches. Okay, and that brings us to this press conference from yesterday, or no, yesterday. Ricardo Gareca in a press conference, and I don't know what was the question, right? But Ricardo Gareca said this: listen, with all due respect, you're not a head coach, all right? You are not a head coach. I can respect your opinions, but you don't know what's going on here. You don't know how it is to be in my shoes. So I'm going to respect your opinion. I'm not bragging anything here. I'm not being disrespectful to you, but you're not a head coach. And the guy, and the most calmly matter, right? He was not like, oh, all mad and barking. No. He was just all calm, like a professor, telling you, you don't know how it's to be in my shoes, and that's it's a different thing than many. I hate it when players say this. You never played before. You don't know what it is. In that it was different. All right, he was telling it in a different way, but it still has some of that I play. I'm the coach. I'm on this side of the business.
Oh,
and for you to understand this, you have to be in my shoes. I don't think so. No. I don't think so.
All right. So then, all right, and I'm staring at your notes, and so you mentioned that, and then what's this? There's this thing in parentheses that I'm going to let you talk about. It's a story, and it's a story between me and I'm going to leave the name out. So go ahead and tell the story.
I want to say the name.
I'm leaving it for you to say the name because I didn't want to kill it. So go for it.
Yeah, it's between me and Greg Berhalter about press conferences, right? He was the time he arrived to Columbus, first 3-4 games of the season, and the team wasn't clicking and the offense wasn't there, right? And Dominico Duro, who was the leading scorer the season before Berhalter's arrival, he was scoreless. Then and he was using him as a true 9, right? And I said this. This one was a simple question. Have you thought about maybe changing systems? And he was like, why?
Why?
Right? He looked at me, like staring at me like, what? Okay, I want to explain why I'm saying it. I want to explain that to you. Thank you for responding to me like that. All right, we're going to go further. All right. Dominico Duro scored 12 goals playing as a winger last season. How many goals he scored playing as a center forward this season? 0, right? Thank you very much. Then you have two wingers, two flat wingers. You got Ethan Finley on the left. This is my view. Yeah. Ethan Finley and Dominico Duro. And you have the Pipita Higuain behind them. So maybe you can use that as an option. Right, that's the point of view here. I'm not saying that you're going to use that, but in order for you to succeed with this personnel, you got to change it. You got to change the system because either you have a true 9, which you don't. Well, you have Aaron Schoenfeld, right? Do you even, John? Do you even remember Aaron Schoenfeld? Do you remember Aaron Schoenfeld?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, how many goals did he score? I think he scored more goals than him. All right, I'm gonna put it like that. I'm gonna put it like that. Okay, so and then he was like, yeah, and then he went kind of tone it down, right? He went from her to, oh yeah, maybe this and that, la la la. He gave me the run around. What they did 6 months, what they did at the end of that season, they went ahead and signed Kai Kamara, a true center forward, and what happened? Oh, they went into the finals because you were married to your system, but in order for your system to work, you needed a true 9 that you didn't have at the moment.
Booyah. Why?
That was just, he was so mad at me.
I love that. Why? So, all right. So then let me ask you this. Since you mentioned Berhalter, let me go here. I'm going to talk to Niko about it also. Actually, tell you what, that'll be the handoff. So I'm gonna say Berhalter to the handoff. So we'll talk about Berhalter.
Yeah, because you're in Chicago now, right?
Yep. So he got the Chicago gig, and so that'll be the handoff because of your story with Berhalter and Niko coming in at 10:35 for the last half hour. I'm gonna say Berhalter for handoff. So let me do that. All right. So in discussing players and talking out of turn and all this kind of stuff. Luis Suarez, now that he is no longer playing for country, decided that he was going to, I'll go ahead and say it this way. He decided he was just going to let everybody have it with all the barrels and do more than just pop off about Marcelo Bielsa and sit there and talk about the environment and how toxic it is. But now other players have come out and they've said, no, we get it. That's how he was. you have come out on the side of why Luis Suarez, why you want to play that way, why you want to do that publicly. So with what Luis Suarez said about Marcelo Bielsa, you're not a fan of what he did.
No, I just took away his man card. You know, I just took away your man card, Luchito Suarez. I love you. You are my second striker of all time for me. It's Ronaldo Nazario de Lima and then you. But what you said the other day, it was just so coward, man. That's coward. That's coward right there. You don't say that on air. You don't go out there to the media and say that. You said that. You close the door. You talk to the coach. You talk to your players. You were the captain. You were the leader. So just let's have a meeting, coach. This is not working. All right. Can we do something about it? Maybe yes, maybe no. The coach will say that maybe this is a closed door conversation. These are the kind of situations that they might be leaked for some reason that is not that somebody one of the members of the team or the members of the coaching staff will say it. Maybe you can leak it somewhere. Somebody heard this, but going out there in an interview to say that out loud, it is just absolutely coward from Lucho Suarez. And then Canovio said, "Hey, the coach, that was so lame. That was so like spoiled brat kid saying, hey, the coach told me," because this is what he said, right? The coach, he blamed me on the loss. Well, you were not marking your man. You let the man go through, and then they led to a goal. So it was your fault. That's why we lost the game. All right? Get it? Are you grown up? You're a professional player. You're not 15. You're not 13. Okay? And then what I love about this is that then Jose Jimenez, the center back in Atletico Madrid, he said, I don't know where this coming from. Lucho Suarez said that we all knew about this, that we all know we're on the same page. And like, no, I'm not. I'm not. If he said this, it's his problem. I don't care. I just come here to play for my country, and I'm supporting my coach 100%. I don't know what they're talking about. Oh yeah,
literally,
that's the captain, brother. That's your captain.
Literally, that's like pulling the fire alarm and running out of the school. Exactly.
Now that you're retired, that you're not gonna, just why you don't do it like Cavani did, right? Cavani was getting the calls. He knew that his time was up, and he quietly and respectfully stepped aside and said, "Well, they're not calling me. I think this is it for me, and I appreciate all the time. I appreciate all my years with the national team, and I want to let other ones succeed. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's a true gentleman. All right, that's a man. All right, you understand me, Lucho Suarez? Do you hear me? Because I did."
It's like, bruh, what are you doing? So Tuesday, after what happens this weekend, everybody's playing on Tuesday the 15th. 4:30 in the afternoon Eastern time. I mean, man, that's a great way to start things. Colombia is a big favorite at home against Chile at -208. Paraguay's got Venezuela at a -120. Uruguay has Ecuador to -152. Argentina at home is a -2,500 going up against Bolivia. Bolivia, by the way, is a +4,000 on the win, plus 1,300 on the draw.
I would drop $5 on that. I'm gonna drop $5 on that.
Just, and then Brazil hosting Peru at a -500, draws a +535. Peru north of +1,230 in the composite on Tuesday.
My God. But I want to tell you something about this, all right? Yeah. I think Brazil's not going to win in Chile. They're not going to win in Chile, all right? And I think we're going to have to scratch a point in Brazil.
Okay.
Hey, that's my dreams. Nino, wake up, Nino. Yeah,
well, so playing it that way, if you think that's going to be the case, then you're looking at a +272 for the draw with Brazil at Chile. That's a +272.
And everyone just played red cards. If you're gonna play, you're gonna bet on something, bet on red cards. Because I'm telling you, they're gonna be red cards in that game for sure, man. Do you have that?
I'm going to see if that is a category that exists.
Should be category, man. Red cards.
Home and away, over under, both teams to score. Oh, come on!
It's not
match facts. Previous matches. I've got history. Crap! I don't have the. I don't have
that one.
I don't have red cards, but okay.
We'll find out. But just remember this: there's going to be red cards in that game.
Okay, so Chile, Brazil, yeah. So if you can get red cards over at +0.5, then take it and run, is what you're saying.
Yes, absolutely, man.
Well, absolutely. because then that affects Brazil in your match on Tuesday with the red. If there are red cards for Brazil in Chile, that affects your match on Tuesday, where Brazil could be shorter handed than they would be otherwise.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's why you're thinking you might be able to nick a point, because you're thinking red cards in Chile affects the roster selection out of necessity Tuesday, and you think that that's going to get you a point on Tuesday.
You see where I'm going with this, right? Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I was trying to figure out where you were going here, but it's like cause and effect. All right. So you're thinking like 3 dimensions. You're doing like Vulcan chess on me, man. You got all of the thoughts going. All right. So your Universitario de Deportes and all the changes in the lineup. What's going on there?
It's Peru Universitario. This Peru Universitario now.
Peru Universitario.
Peru Universitario. Yeah, there's a reason why. All right, there's a reason why. Because first off, Fossati was the coach for Universitario prior to being the head coach of the national team. So they snatched it from us, and they were like, "All right, the national team is priority. Go ahead, coach. Go save the country." He hasn't won a freaking game yet, but anyway. But now talking about being short-handed, we got the 1, 2, 3, 4. We got 4 players on the injury list, and they're not just any player. The striker, the Luis Advíncula, the best right back, the best center mid, the best left back. We are kind of like a ER right now, so it's insane. So the coach, guess what he did? All right, he's relying on his boys from Universitario de Deportes. So the last lineup that he tested yesterday, all right, we got 4 players from Universitario de Deportes in that 11, man. 4. The 2 strikers on top. Flores and Valera. We got Pierito Quispe. Well, Pierito Quispe doesn't play for Universitario anymore. He's playing in Mexico, but he's our boy. He's Universitario. Then we got Andy Polo. So it was 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 players from Universitario Deportes in the starting 11. And he made a move with Alexander Callens. You remember Alexander? He played for New York City FC. A couple of seasons more, like 5 seasons. Yeah. Now he's a center back, but he's a lefty because he's going to use him as a left back. So we're moving pieces around because we're missing key pieces not only on the roster, but not only on the 11, but on the roster. And we also call this guy from UFC, Cusco FC. This is a Peruvian striker, and hopefully he gets minutes, man. Hopefully he gets minutes on this game. I don't know if he's going to play or not, but out of necessity, he's scratching from everywhere because we don't have enough players. Our universe of players that are qualified to play for the national team is so small.
How small is it?
It's I don't know, man. Like this, like everybody can fit in here. It's crazy. But we'll see, man. We'll see. The best for Peru.
Yes. Also on the board, I know that your league play-by-play because of international duty is kind of on a bit of a lull. But I want to talk Portugal, and what's going on with Sporting and Porto and basically everybody else.
Okay.
It is still Sporting and Porto and everybody else.
Yeah.
But Sporting had, they're in European competition and everything. And literally now, since you have brought up Viktor Gyökeres as much as you have, I literally gravitate towards Sporting when I'm watching European competition now. It's stunning to me now that I look at the numbers that Sporting has scored 27 in 8 matches and they've only given up 2. That is mind-blowing to me.
It is insane. It's just this is a perfect machine that is running in Portugal right now by Ruben Amorim. Since he arrived, he really changed the mentality of this team. And this is a guy who's stuck to his 3-4-3 formation and hasn't changed it since he arrived. He's talking about 1, 2, 3. This 4th season. This is his 4th season with Sporting. 2 championships in the middle in 4 years. But this year is the year that is the most dominant Sporting that I've seen and that many people have seen in years. But having said that, in the last 2 matches, the one when the Champions League, when they went to Eindhoven and played to PSV, and the latest one against Casapia. This is slowing down on that machine. They're not going 150 miles an hour. No. They're going up to 95. They're cautious because they have an issue. As good as they are. The big issue is that they have a thin roster. Yep. And that came up in the last Saturday when he was using a center mid as a winger. I never seen Morita playing on top of the offense. Never. But he didn't have anyone else. All his wingers are sidelined by injuries. All of them. Right? 4 of the 5 wingers are sidelined. And then they also have the 2 center backs. 2 of the 5 center backs that he has in the roster are also injured and happen to be the starters. So this is still not perfect, but still running perfect. It's 8 for 8, brother. 8 victories in a row, not conceding a single point and conceding only 2 goals. They're still by far my candidate to win it. And as I always say, I said it at the end of last season, right? I was talking to the guys, and they told me, "I know you're crazy, Nino. You're crazy." No, I'm not. Because if Sporting gets to keep their head coach, Ruben Amorim, and gets to keep Viktor Gyökeres, the best striker in the planet, they're going to repeat the title, all right? And I said this at the end of last season, at the last 5 weeks or so. And everybody was, no, what are you talking about? And then now what? Boom, running the table.
Right now, the injuries, Ignacio and Diomande at center back, Gonçalves at left wing, Marcus Edwards at right wing, Quaresma at center back, Mateus Reis at left back. Dude, that's a freaking mash unit. You got 6 that are injured right now.
Yeah, it's insane. And still winning.
And by the way, Viktor Gyökeres' current value at Transfermarkt,
120, 150,
70 million euro. Oh. That's his current value. And he's under contract until June 30 of 2028. So he's still got a couple of years left on his deal. But as we always say in a situation like this, that is so you can control the asset. That is so that you can sit there and be like, you're under contract and we've got you for a while. But if someone knocks on your door and goes, we'd like to give you 120 million euro, we'll meet the release clause and we'll give you 120 or 150 for Viktor Gyökeres. What's Sporting going to sit there and say? Nah, no. You're in control of the asset until June of 2028. So the end of the 27 fiscal year is where you are with Gyökeres right now. And I'm looking at the contracts that are available, and everyone Everyone is under contract except for Kalai, which we don't know how long his contract is. Reese is the only one whose contract ends at the end of the fiscal year, at the end of June this year. Everybody else beyond that is 6 at June 30 of 26, 7 June 30 of 27. There's a lot of folks. Let's see, 5 at June 30 of 28 and 4 June 30th of 29. Kovacevic, DeBast, Arujo, and Conrad Harder.
They're all signed this year.
2020, they signed 5-year deals, and they're going to be there. They're under contract until June 30 of 29. 5-year deals.
That's how you run your business, brother.
And
that's how you run your business, and that's why Portugal is the best player provider. If you they got the finest mall in the planet. All right, if you're gonna go shopping for players, you gotta go to the Primera Liga mall. All right, quality, best business. The players that are you're gonna find players that are at their peak, and you're gonna get your ROI is gonna be so high after you purchase that guy from the Primera Liga. That's they're the best in the planet when it comes to scouting. They're the Primera Liga. I mean, I'm telling you, if you the numbers, you see, was it? Hold on, how much was it? Benfica, in the last, it's 5 years. I think it's 5 years. 900 million euros in sales. Wow. 900. Wow. All right. In the last 5 years.
Man.
Yep.
That's nuts.
So, it's insane.
I mean, right.
How well they do business in there, man.
Current market value, according to Transfermarkt, of the roster, the 24-man roster for Sporting, 443.5 million euro. That's the market value of the 24 dudes that they've got in-house right now.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Porto, by the way, they only have the one blemish. They got the one loss, and they're 3 points back. That was the loss to Sporting back on August 31st. So 6 weeks ago, they lose to Sporting, and that's the only loss that they have. Then it's Benfica with a loss and a draw. They're already 8 points back, and they've got a match in hand. So technically, let's just say there'll be 5.
Right, because the match was suspended on Sunday. They went to the
Nacional.
It was so it was the London, man. It was London. You cannot see anything, man. It was fog up to up to the waist. So I only can see the legs of the players, man. It cannot, it was crazy.
Okay, so broadcasting question for you.
Yeah.
When it comes to you calling matches for Goal TV, how many monitors do you have? Is one larger than the other? When you're calling a match remotely, what is your setup so you can call the match as best you can? How many monitors, notes, all those kinds of things?
So I got the main screen. I got a 65 screen in front of me, right? Okay. And I got my laptop, and I got my phone, right? So in my laptop, I have I don't know how many screens I have, how many tabs open, like 5 or 6, and also got the ones here on the on my phone. And also it's crazy because now I'm doing TikTok lives when I'm calling the games, right? So I've got the people talking to me on my phone. I'm saying, by the way, this guy is saying this. I'm answering the questions. I'm crazy, man. I'm crazy. But I think it's pretty cool because now, it's more interactive, right? It's just like because I'm by myself. No, unlike you guys. I mean, you got a commentator, you got the play-by-play, right?
Well, but if we're calling it remotely like you, it's a Han Solo, man. I mean, for me,
Han Solo too.
Yeah, when I'm doing a remote, when I'm doing a Remy, as they say in the industry, when I'm doing a remote, it is 3. It's the main monitor that has the program that activates the broadcast.
Right.
I've got 2 computer monitors off to my left, and then I've got the big 55 that I'm looking at off to my left. So I've got the one that starts the program, the 2 that give me stats and scores, and then the one that I'm staring at is the big 55 to give me the activity. So that's my setup. I didn't know when it comes to you calling something, and we're all at the mercy of the videographers on site and the production crew on site. Because if they shoot something like if you've got a match in Portugal and they're shooting it from Liechtenstein, then you're screwed. And it's just like you're having more of a conversation with the TikTokers than you are doing the match because you can't see what's going on.
I know. It's insane. It's insane, brother. But I like it. I mean, I love it. I love it. To be honest, I was the first remote games that I had from home, because I'm so used to wear the headset, right? Like you're doing now.
Mm-hmm.
But now I got this because okay, Nino, this is the list of equipment that we need from you, and it was a microphone, not a headset.
Yeah.
And you know me, I'm moving, brother. I'm moving around all the time.
Yeah.
So the guys, the sound engineers, can you get closer to the mic, please? Don't get away from the mic. That's the challenge that I have, right? So what I did was, now I'm talking to you, is I got the support here, right? But when I'm calling, it's like I got the microphone in my hand because I'm moving so much that
yeah, but that's you though. And I mean, and I will say that when I'm calling a match, for me here in Office HD, I'm standing up because I'm staring at the big 55.
Yeah.
I've got a headset on and I'm staring at the big 55. And if I need to do something with any one of the monitors that have stats and standings and everything and scores, I've got them right here and I can sit there and go from one to the other. But I didn't know what your setup was compared to anybody else's that we know that do things remotely, because it could be like the one big one, the 2 small ones, and then you bring in a computer or something like that. Some places are outfitted that way. I didn't know what your setup was when you call stuff for Gold TV. That's why I asked.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, but it is, that's my it's 2 screens and the big screen, a laptop, cell phone, and the big screen. Yeah.
Okay. Like I said, just check. Yeah, I was trying to figure out what the whole layout was when it came to all the activity. What are you calling this weekend, if anything, or do you get the weekend off, or is there still some activity going on in leagues that you still have to dance through?
Yes, because we have to. I only have a couple of games. I got a game tomorrow and then on Saturday, but I got games through the week in the Uruguayan Flat Division because they went on strike for 2 weeks, and then they got another extra week of not playing because of the passing on Fran Izquierdo, the player that died on the in Brazil playing against Sao Paulo.
Right.
So they're 3 weeks behind. So these international breaks, boy, we keep playing.
Okay.
We keep playing. So they got a game tomorrow, Peñarol, Rampla on Saturday. And then I have in the next week loaded the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Yeah, every day I got games. Every day.
And it is a Peñarol hosting Maldonado tomorrow at 6:00. Peñarol is obviously a big favorite in that one.
Man.
Rampla is game number 2 on Saturday at 2:00 Eastern time. Rampla is hosting CA Cerro, and Rampla is a plus 152. Cerro's Rampla is favored. Cerro's a plus 177. The draw is a plus 219. Progreso and Danubio are playing at 11:30 in the morning East Coast time here in the U.S. And then you have a Defensor, Boston River, and you've got Wanderers and River Plate in that Primera. That's your 4 on Saturday. You've got the 2 on Friday, and you've got the 2 on Sunday. Racing Montevideo is at Miramar, and Cerro Largo is hosting Nacional. So that's I didn't know if in international windows there were still leagues that were juggling things or anything.
Yeah. They are. Some of them always are, especially Uruguay, because they, for some reason, something has happened, and it's it's an interesting tournament, man. It's an interesting tournament. They have their ways to do things that it's just crazy. Sometimes they did because they designed this tournament right in order to have as many as clásicos that they can get. Right. If I remember 1 year we got like, I don't know, 6 clásicos in 1 year. Because you gotta win the Apertura, but if you don't win the Clausura, you're gonna face the guy from the top of the annual table, and then in the middle there's another tournament, the Intermedio. It's the only tournament in the planet that has 3 tournaments in 1 year. It's Apertura, Intermedio, and Clausura.
Yeah,
right? So,
first one I've ever heard that has an Intermedio. Okay, it is 7:42 on the West Coast. That means that Niko is probably dealing with like his 3rd cup of coffee. He's fixing his watch. It's like his watch is having problems. It's not sticking to his wrist. So we're going to do a fancy open. We're going to do a handoff. Handoff this week is going to talk about Berhalter, and now he's in charge in Chicago. So I need to find the fancy open and get Niko in here to wrap things up for the last half hour on a Thursday. Fancy open right now. 8, 2, 3, 4. So, have you caught your breath, my friend? Because you're not even wearing a hat. You had to fix your watch. I don't know where your coffee is. You were like all over the place in the green room getting ready, man.
Yes, I was running around. I had a bit of an issue with my internet, so I was like running around, resetting the modem, running downstairs, upstairs, because I knew I had to be on with John, with Nino, and I just had to do it, man. So you see, I'm a little bit flustered maybe, but nonetheless, we got to perform. We got to show up. So it's always excited to be on here to talk to you guys, and of course, your amazing audience.
All right. So the handoff, I kind of held off because it was one of the topics that was there, and I wanted to get into it because of Nino and his history in Columbus with a certain coach. And now that particular coach is now 2 jobs to the good in Chicago. He's now technical director or chief of soccer director, grand exalted poobah, whatever you want to call it, and head coach in Chicago now with Chicago Fire. Nino, as the handoff, since I've got the question, let me ask you first, Nino. Berhalter to Chicago. What do you think?
I think it's a good fit. I think Berhalter is going to be back to his bread and butter after all this hectic stint with the national team. I think he's going to have more time. You know, he's going to have more time on the daily basis, because this is a guy that he's so pays so much attention to details. And when you are in the national team, you have the day-by-day operations to run what you do with a club. And now going back to this day-by-day with Chicago, I think he's gonna be a right fit for Chicago.
Yeah. All right, hit me, Niko. What do you think about Berhalter with two titles in one as the new head coach in Chicago?
Well, look, initially I was very excited. I still think he's a great fit coaching-wise. Chicago is no Ferrari, and it's no build project. He's going to have to do a lot of either demolishing and rebuilding, or he's going to have to do a lot of remodeling around the organization, youth, physical department, medical, scouting. I mean, there's a lot of things that have been going on with Chicago for a very long time. That's why there's been a disarray of coaching staff. There's been a disarray of players coming in, players coming out, Shaqiri not working out, players that you've sold like Jader Duran and someone we'll talk about a little bit later, and then you don't do anything with that money. All of those things are difficult. So as much as I think that Berhalter is a great fit because he's going to help you with all those things, he's going to need time. He doesn't have a magic wand and he's going to make it all perfect and put this team in the playoffs next year. So you're going to have to be patient. The other component that I'm not as excited about as I was when I first heard the news is the fact that he's going to be his own boss. I was talking to another GM, in the phone just yesterday, and he was like, "Look, it's not a easy thing to do if you look around the league." And he gave an example of Greg Vanney. Greg Vanney, he was his own boss, and it took Kuntz to get to the LA Galaxy for everything to come together, because Vanney's a great coach. But when you're your own boss, there's a lot of things that just don't work out the same, and you don't have anybody else with a different perspective, and therefore things don't work out. So I'm sure that's the only way you were going to get Greg down there. He probably put that as a demand. I got to be my own boss. I don't want exactly put it on paper, da 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 da, and that's why you did it. But I think that is gonna take a long time.
But he did that in Columbus here, right? He did that in Columbus here when he was a coach and he was the technical director in Columbus. He was in that got 2 titles at first. He got the head coach the first year, and then the second year is when the Columbus said, "Hey, I want you to be also the technical director, so you can run the team as you wanted to." Yep, this is not his first rodeo as using the 2 hats. So that's when I know the guy.
Yeah, no, but neither was Greg Vanney. Greg Vanney was his own boss in Toronto as well, but it didn't work out the 7 in LA. And I think a lot of it has to do because MLS has grown as much as it has. And sometimes you do need a little bit of a support circle to figure out things like scouting and all of these other components. And for a guy that's going to have to come in and figure out what out of what he has in that team works and what he's going to have to bring in, it's going to take time. But I do think he's the right guy for the job. If anybody's going to do it quickly or quicker, it's Greg.
Yeah.
All right, Nino, my buddy. Love you, my friend. Glad everything's fine. Oh, where's the boss, by the way, before we get out of here?
Let me bring it up here.
Because we are a dog friendly environment, and he's looking at you like, bruh, I was sleeping. What are you doing? What are you doing, Dad?
I don't want to be here. Huh? Say hi.
Yeah, he's like, bruh, you woke me up. I'm out. Nino, be safe, my friend. We will catch up with you next week. It's always great to see you and your 4-legged boss. We'll see you soon, my friend.
Yes. Good luck to Peru.
Yeah. Next week. Oh, yeah. We ran into all that.
Just one last quick thing, John and Niko. I just want to say this because I got it here. Right. I got it right here. The other day was going on Twitter, right, on X now. And I saw a picture of Mr. John Nelson. And boy, I got a crush on that lady. I'm not saying the name. I got a crush on Nikki Noto Palmer. She's so fun. That's all I gotta say. Goodbye.
Wow. All right. I'll tell Nikki.
Just tell her she's gorgeous. I got a crush on her.
Man, she's happy.
Hey, shooter's got to shoot. Good job, Nino.
Oh wow. I'm gonna let Nino go before he gets in trouble. So be good. We'll see you next week. All right. So full disclosure, Nino's looking at what I'm up to on the 280 character app. On Fridays, I do high school football. And so on social media, what we do as a part of our on-air team, we shoot the photos of everything. And hey, we're calling a game, airtime here. And Nikki was hanging out, and Nikki is happily married to a former tight end of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So yeah, she is a mother, and she is one of the best in the business. She can handle pretty much anything. But I will definitely tell the married Nikki Noto Palmer that Nino Torres has an absolute crush on her next time I see her.
All right.
Wow. Okay. Didn't know we were going that direction. Okay. Berhalter, let me ask you this. Would it not mean that, and I had this discussion with Dylan Butler yesterday with when Dylan came on, and I would think that the assistants that you hire, if you are Berhalter, are going to be just as important, if not more important, than your own hire, knowing that you're going to be in charge of both. Because if you're going to be in charge of the first team, if you're going to be in charge of the second team, if you're going to be in charge of the academy and the philosophy and all of these different things, that unless you figured out how to clone yourself at Sloan Kettering, that there's no way that you can be in 4 places at once, and that these assistants that you bring in are going to have to know what you want and be in charge more than they might have been otherwise because of you having all of these different responsibilities.
Otherwise, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
And look, I'm not discrediting Greg by any means, but being a national team head coach is very different to being a club head coach. And that was his last gig for a long time. So it is going to take some adjusting. And like you said, it's key. It's crucial. It's fundamental for him to have a good supporting cast in that staff that he's going to have to delegate to. Otherwise, he's just biting more than he can chew, and he could end up coming back to, making him choke, if you will. So it's honestly if he doesn't set himself up to succeed with a very good staff, someone that he can rely on for all the things that you just mentioned. And again, it could be for various situations. Maybe he has someone that is better at developing players. Maybe he has somebody that's going to do things that will give him space to do the scouting and the searching and the coaching and the soccer module, which we know is so important for Greg, style of play. Everything is going to come up through the academy and all the way to the first team. So there's a lot of components that, yes, Greg cannot do it alone. And I'm sure that he has not just the networking, but a lot of pull to bring in some quality staff members. But yes, I think you're absolutely right. Who he surrounds himself with would essentially dictate how good he does and how well and how quick he does it in Chicago.
Who should he surround himself with? Any ideas?
I do not.
Would somebody like Lucci be? Would Lucci be an idea there?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking guys like Lucci. I was thinking guys like Dos Santos. But do those guys want to go not backwards, because Dos Santos is right now an assistant? But do you want to do that?
Oh, check your microphone. You muted. It's like the audio died. I don't know what happened. You were in the middle of a sentence and the audio died.
Is it still down?
Oh, there it is. So don't move from that spot. Whatever you did, that fixed it.
That's very weird.
Okay. So
that's very good.
All right. So you're talking about Lucci.
Yeah, I was saying that I don't know if Lucci specifically wants to go backwards, because he's coming from an awful situation, being exposed, and he has egg in his face after what happened in San Jose. I could see him wanting a job where he's going to be able to redeem himself in some way. Yeah. So yes, there are guys that we could mention, but do they want to go backwards and be part of a staff? I don't know. I'm pretty sure he has his own guys already ready to go, guys that have helped him at the U.S. level, guys that he's worked with in the past. I'm sure that's not going to be a problem. Guy like, I don't know, Ezra Henderson or something. I mean, he's going to have a lot of options there, but he's definitely going to need a big team to, again, try to fix a club that has been problematic, not because of the coaching, but because of the structure and the organization problems that, we can go back 10 years of issues with Chicago. So it's not as simple as just a head coach who's going to come and fix it.
All right, Austin. They finally, Rodolfo Borrell finally pulled the trigger on Josh Wolf, but he did it with a match to go in the season when you're not going into the playoffs anyway. And this has been a point that I've been asking all of our experts this week. Look, if you're, and I might just be because I'm being turning into a nicer old man as I, turn into when I'm 170 years old as I am now, I just must be nicer than I was in the past. If you're not making the playoffs and nothing's going to change and your last match is at home, why are you sending Josh Wolf away with one match left in the season? And just say that you're not going to renew his contract. Thank Josh for his time. Let him have the home match on next Saturday. Let him get his lap with his family. Why not do that unless you think that you've really got to jump on somebody as the new head coach? I mean, why let somebody go knowing you're not going to renew him with a match to go and that last match is at home? It struck me as odd.
I call it smoke and mirrors. You're trying to send a message. You're trying to seem like you were not happy with the situation, and now you are pulling the trigger. But I agree with you. I think it's the wrong decision. I think that there is no reason why you would do this right now, because you're not going to hire a guy tomorrow. You're not going to hire a guy next week. You're probably not going to hire a guy next month, because you're going to need to follow a protocol if you want to get the right guy, to interview X amount of candidates, see what you want to get out of them. But I think this all goes back to, similar to Chicago, the problems in Austin have been up top as well. There's been a ton of issues with the recruiting and the scouting and the sporting director and all kinds of things that, I'm not. I wouldn't put it past Rodolfo to want to coach this team, himself, moving forward. I mean, it's that sort of situation that Austin is in, and that's why I think that the issues with Austin are specifically beyond the coaching staff. So, to your question, the only logical explanation is that you want to make a statement and send a message that you were not happy, you wanted to get him off, but it makes no difference. It makes no changes, and I don't think they're going to hire anybody within the next month.
Well, unless it's somebody that you really want to jump on that might be a part of the old city football group, where is it Dome Torrent? Is it Patrick Vieira? Is it somebody with ties to CFG that you might have known in the past that wants to come back and be a part of everything? That's the only thing I can figure, is that you're trying to jump the line and hire somebody that you think would want to jump and be a part of things that you can announce literally like either the last day of the regular season as a part of the process. Hey, it's our last home match and here's our new head coach, or do it like the day after the regular season when you're not making something in there. It's like there's a wire, I think, that isn't quite connecting here. And I don't know if you're trying to jump the queue on somebody, or if you're going to make an announcement, or you just wanted to be, you wanted to just kick the guy out. I don't know which one of those options is the option here.
No, you just wanted to get him out. And again, it's all smoke and mirrors. It's you portraying that you were doing your job and that you had an expectation, a level. If you wanted to fire him and you were thinking about moving on, you should have done it halfway through the season. You should have done it when there were issues with Fagundes and there were issues with DeRuzzi and all of these things that came up. You had a way out. You had a way to get Wolf out. And look, me and you have talked about it. As much as we appreciate and can give all the credit to a guy like Wolf because of his IQ and how prepared he is and the soccer he provided within the first few seasons, you can see that it was time to go. Yeah. And things are starting to fall apart. So if you're going to pull the plug, you should have done it a lot sooner. And look, media members right now, we're taking so much heat when it comes to this sort of thing, because I don't know if you've heard, but in South America, Ricardo Gareca basically told the media that we cannot talk to him about soccer because we are not coaches and we don't deserve to be in his presence. And don't ask me, don't try to debate with me because I'm a coach and you're not. And I just think that's ridiculous. But regardless of, we do got to give them the respect. And that's why I'm not going to sit here and say that I know more than any coach in MLS, including a guy like Wolf. But you saw things coming from the outside in. It seemed like there was a time for a change, and it should have happened a lot sooner than one game before the season ended.
There's one match in the Western Conference this weekend to get everybody to 33 before Decision Day happens. Next weekend, we get to watch what's going to happen involving LA and Vancouver. LAFC gets to play match 33. They need it to separate themselves from Seattle and from Salt Lake in the 3 and the 4, so they can at least have a puncher's chance on Decision Day going up against LAG. With this one match to go, or two, if you're talking about LA and Vancouver, we knew it was going to be a street fight trying to figure out positioning, and it hasn't disappointed even with this match in hand that's going to be played this weekend. Seattle's a part of that top 4. You just don't know where you're going to be.
Yeah, it was interesting the way things played out. Seattle surprised me. Timbers disappointed me. Things played out the way they did. Vancouver's had issues of their own. LAFC picked it up there at the end. So, there was a lot of fluctuation when it came to the inertia that teams had at some point of the season. And this is a big one. I mean, and the funny part about this one is that both Vancouver and LAFC have a ton of guys missing because of the FIFA window, right? And I would say that LAFC still has the upper hand because they do have the likes of Bogut's and they do guys of Olivier Giroud, and they have a Tuesta and they have Tillman and they have all of these guys that are still pretty good, if you ask me. In the other hand, Vancouver is missing 6 guys that are not just key, but the next guy up has a big drop off. So no Fafa Picot, no Robbie Gold, no Vite, no Ali. I mean, there's a lot of players here that are not going to be part of that team. Cubas, who's so important for that midfield. So I think that Vancouver is in a bad position, and I think they're going to end up losing this game, regardless of who LAFC puts on the field. They're going to play with a 3-man back line. They're going to be very meticulous about how they're going to approach this game, because they're also not going to open up against Vancouver and allow a goal to go in and then allow Vancouver to just kind of sit back and hold. So LAFC is going to work their magic. They're going to get this game. And unfortunately, when it comes to the roster depth and roster talent, LAFC just has more of it. So are they going to miss Buanga? Sure. Oliveira? Absolutely. La Hoya, Martinez, that's coming from a couple of great games? 100%. But the players that LAFC has are just going to be able to come through. And I think Cherundolo did a good job at rotating his squads a couple of times. I think he's doing a good job at closing the season the right way. So LAFC is going to be able to take down one. And I don't know if you want to talk about the Columbus and New England, but that's another game that it's going to be interesting because Kuch is going to be with Columbia. There's a lot of other guys that are part of that international call-ups, including a guy like Schulte. We know what happened last time against the Sounders when he wasn't there. So how does that play out? That's going to be an interesting one. But I do think Columbus ends up holding on to that game with a draw, and just at least add some points to their side. Going back to the standings in general, I think that Vancouver is going to have to play themselves into this thing. I think that Sounders Timbers game, we'll talk about that probably next week, but that's gonna be a fun decision day for the Western Conference. But credit to a team like the Sounders that was able to put it together and grind out some points, some performances. That win in Colorado was very good. Paul Rockcroft has become a rock star. I mean, he's been unreal, unbelievable. That Colorado game was fantastic. He was persistent. He was defiant. He couldn't be held. He puts and creates at least 4 or 5 opportunities that Seattle can't put away. So that's going to be Seattle's Achilles heel. Can they kill games? Can they finish them off? Can they really get the goals that they're creating? Because Jordan Morris is in a little bit of a funk. You saw it in this one where he has and it was a difficult one. It was a difficult one. He gets a pass a little bit later than I think he expected it, a little bit quicker than I think he expected it, and he puts a shot in front of goal that doesn't go his way. He's banging the ground. He's frustrated because he wanted that goal. So we'll see. We'll see how Seattle can manage that when it comes to the first round of the playoffs.
Okay, so, 2 more questions, and one of them has to do with Tacoma Defiance because we now know the playoff matchups in Next Pro. Obed Vargas named for the 22 under 22. What's it been like to see Obed Vargas continue to grow and evolve to where he is, even if we take him out of this list that was put forth by Major League Soccer? What's it been like for you to see Obed Vargas grow to where he is as a part of the impact there in Seattle?
It's been a privilege, and it's been a learning experience for me, just watching a player come up through the system and provide and grow in a way that he's not just a starter. He is a high contributor. I think that he's way too low on that list. I cannot believe, and I don't have the list in front of me, but I can't believe that a guy like McGlynn is on top of him, a guy like Redondo. Look, and I understand. Look, I understand that the talent and the potential is the reason probably why they're above him. And again, McGlynn is not a guy that I would put above Ovid Vargas. But when it comes to contributions and what you actually did throughout the season, other than Diego Luna, there isn't many guys that at his age and in that list have done what Obed has done. And Obed has done it at center midfield. He's done it out wide on the wing. He defends, he pushes, he presses, he creates opportunities. I was talking to another player who's, and I'm not going to say his name, but he says he reminds him a lot of Nicolas Lodero. And it's kind of funny that comparison was made, because he does have a lot of that. I'm going to tear the field. I'm going to get everywhere. I'm going to get forward. I'm going to defend. I'm going to do everything possible. He has the creativity. He has the vision and the technical ability to put balls through. So it's been a surreal experience, because from his family circle, his dad, who's very involved with his career, with his development, who coached them at a young age, and watching how excited he's been, not only that he's as high as he is in that list, and the fact that he's a undeniable starter for Seattle, but the call up to Mexico's senior team was big, right? I mean, that's something that he's been searching for. He made the switch of federations from the U.S. to Mexico. That has played dividends, and now he gets a call up, and he's going to be working under Aguirre and another Mexican legend in the defender from Barcelona, Marquez. Jesus. So it's definitely an experience that is going to help him even more. So the two conclusions, I think in my opinion, he should be at least third in that 22 under 22 list, in my opinion. And like I said, the only other player that I would vote for young player is Diego Luna. But if Obed gets this team going against Portland, is a contributor, is someone that is influential, and then in the first round of the playoffs he does it, I'm definitely voting for Obed, regardless of whether anybody else does or not.
He's at 7. Kromoski is 6. Redondo is 5. Brian Gutierrez is 4. McGlynn is 3. Luna is 2. Diego Gomez from Messi and Friends is number 1.
Absolutely. Give me, look, and I understand Diego Gomez because he also has like 1,400 minutes played, to be quite honest. But the talent, what he's done, the impact, I'll let you slide Diego Gomez. I'll let you slide. And then Diego Luna. And then you have to put Obed, in my opinion. So I know that there isn't a clear definition of what we're looking for when it comes to the U22 list, but I'm going to look for impactful players. I'm going to look for the youngest player in the list, if I'm not mistaken, that's doing more than half of these players in this list. So I am just very high on Obed Vargas. I think that he's going to be gone within the next year. After Club World Cup, I think he's going to have a huge expose, a huge, spotlight that he could just show his talent. And from there on, I think the team is going to move on and allow him to go to Europe and probably have a very good career.
Yeah, Kevin Sullivan is 18 on the list for 3 matches and 10 minutes for Philadelphia Union at the age of 15. So that's
there you go.
Yeah. All right. So last question is about Tacoma Defiance. Defiance are in the playoffs in MLS Next Pro. The matchups are next weekend, 10 days from now. And it's 10 o'clock where at Starfire, Ventura County goes to take on Tacoma Defiance. And they had to wait to figure out who their opponent was because they're the 4 seed. I thought it was going to be crazier in the East than it was in the West, but North Texas picked up the Whitecaps. So it's 1 versus 7. St. Louis City, SC2, picked the 5 in LAFC 2. Then it was the Town, which used to be Los Dos, and they get Dynamo Dos, and then it's 4 and 6. So 1v7, 2v5, 3v8, and 4v6. When it comes to Tacoma specifically, for someone who has not seen Tacoma this year, who is someone in the Niko spot shadow? It's like, oh, here's who I should watch when it comes to Tacoma Defiance that should be making an impact in the next year or so at the parent club.
Ooh, that is a tough one. Because there are a lot of good players. I like Chris Aquino. Chris Aquino is a guy that has come up and has done some wonderful things throughout the season. I think he's the next player that's going to get a chance up when he comes to the first team. He's a creative midfielder that has a lot of range, that can do a lot of things. So he's an interesting one. I think Gomez is a guy that's been very productive for this team as well. But I think the defensive components back there, that's what really gives this Tacoma Defiance a lot of leverage to do what they do. And I think that we should focus a little bit on that. I mean, they're coming in from, some positive results throughout the season. And one of the things that they've been able to do is that ability to just kind of hold teams back and be able to be very disciplined in the backside. So Stuart Hawkins is a guy that's been working with this team. He's a guy that signed to the first team. He's very young. Right now, he's the U20s for the U.S. men's national team. So when you have those sort of components there, I think those are some of the guys that I think are going to end up being important. De Rosario is a guy with a lot of experience that can definitely provide some offensive, not just goals, but holding the ball, his hold-up play, his link-up play. So I think that there's some of the guys that have been more visually interesting to me.
And that's why we bring you in to talk about these kinds of things. 10 o'clock next Sunday. It is Tacoma Defiance hosting Ventura County as MLS Next Pro's opening round starts. Hit the promo because I know you got to go. You're about a half hour out from your next thing.
Yes, I am. We are getting ready to embark on the U22 list as well at Soccer Bar, obviously all in Spanish. We're going to be providing our candidates for end of the year awards in MLS. We're all going to give 2 candidates each for each one of those awards. We're going to really get into some outside component things because we only have 2 games to talk about in MLS. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to get into some U.S. men's national team talk and the 2 friendlies against Panama and Mexico. Who are the players that we're kind of looking for? What are the players that might shine, might be interesting now in the Pochettino era? So go ahead and check that out. Impulso Sports. We do have right now Brian Smetzer talking about the winning Colorado, the end of the season, the difficulties that maybe having a team that's on a row and with some really good inertia to be stopped for a long time, and how to keep them going. He said that there's going to be a scrimmage that's going to be prepared and try to get the team going, but he said it's not the same. It's not the same to just being competitive play. So go ahead and check that out at Pulso Sports. That's a funny one too because it ended abruptly because a fire alarm went off at the building, and we had to kind of go away on that end. But it definitely interesting. Go ahead and check that out at Pulso Sports.
All right, get out of here. Go get your coffee. Go cool off, and we will see you next week, my friend. As always, I love when we can catch up on our Thursdays, where it's Thursdays with Niko at El Rolo and W.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. This is the one spot that I feel like I need to be always. Oh, and by the way, man, I got too greedy in Vegas, man, and I did try to do too many parlays. I did good in a couple of games, the Orlando game and the Columbus game, both the scorers and the goals. Okay. But then I got too greedy with some parlays, man, and Atlanta ended up messing me up. I said they were going to draw, and it was this close to a draw. I couldn't believe it, man, but it's all right. We still came up. We came up in the positive, so it was a good time in Vegas.
Yes, positives are always good. We'll see you next week, my friend.
All right, buddy. Take care.
All right, there goes Niko. Niko's gonna like probably change his shirt because I mean he was running around. You could tell before he's in the green room, and I'm sitting there, and he's all getting all gassed up and everything. He's trying to make sure that the sweatshirt's there. You notice he wasn't even wearing a hat. That's how much he was running around. He was not even wearing, he wasn't wearing a Raider lid. He wasn't wearing a Seattle Sounders lid. He wasn't wearing the dress black Sounders hat that we see him on occasionally. He wasn't wearing a hat. He didn't even have his Rave Green Sounders mug. He was running around doing that. He didn't have a hat. He probably has already blown through his sweatshirt. He's going to have to change his clothes. That's how fast he was running around trying to get on with all the internet issues that he was having at the house. And so you'll have that segment on with our buddy Niko on his social media. This whole segment with him will show up on his social media. So if you don't follow him, go to El Rolo NW on the Twitters, and you can follow Niko and find out what's going on there. Disco Committee came out with a couple of pieces of wisdom, and we will let you know what happened there if I can find it quickly. Of course, you want to find something quickly, and it's not going to happen. But Disco came out with a couple of things, and so we'll get into the Disco Committee and their decision-making process. I'm still going here. I just have to look at a couple of things here off camera. But the Disco Committee, they got full time with what was going on at RSL with Brian Vera. Brian Vera was fined an undisclosed amount for failing to leave the field in a timely manner in the matchup against Minnesota United. And so that was part of it. But RSL and Minnesota were found in violation of the mass confrontation policy in the 89th minute of the matchup that happened on October the 2nd, and it gets better. So here's what they said. Salt Lake violated the policy for the third time this season, the third time this year, and so they were fined an undisclosed amount, and that was issued to the club and to head coach Pablo Mastroeni. Minnesota violated the policy for the second time this year, so they got fined an undisclosed amount, and they also decided that as a part of that process, they were going to fine head coach Eric Ramsey as a part of all of this. So club gets fined an undisclosed amount, and then the club, the undisclosed amount goes to the club. The undisclosed fine goes to head coach Eric Ramsey as well. And so the story even continues even more. And you go, well, how much more does it continue? And it actually is a lot, and it has to do with Vera and RSL. And I mean, it got deep in a hurry when it came to Brian Vera. So you end up with the fine to both the clubs, for both clubs and both coaches, for all of the activity that was going on. So due to their roles in mass confrontation, Brian Vera and Carlos Harvey will be issued undisclosed fines for inciting and or escalating a mass confrontation. And you're thinking, okay, well, that's it. Well, it's not. Vera got suspended 2 additional matches, 3 matches total, and fined an undisclosed amount for spitting at an opponent under what is referred to as disciplinary committee parameter 2, which sounds incredibly official. Disciplinary committee parameter 2. I didn't know that there were parameters. I legitimately did not know there were parameters. But nevertheless, there are parameters. So Brian Vera, 89th minute, fined an undisclosed amount, suspended for 2 additional matches for spitting at an opponent. Served as red card suspension during RSL's match against the Earthquakes on October 5, and the additional suspension served during Salt Lake's match against Vancouver on the 19th, and first match of the playoffs in 24. Now, also, disciplinary committees fined Dylan Nealis for an undisclosed amount for failing to leave the field in a timely manner in the 66th minute of the Red Bulls match against Atlanta United back on October the 5th. And Nealis, remember, was the one who was responsible for taking down Mosqueda, which created the mass confrontation. And remember the pushing of Stian Gregerson, and really that should have been a red, but that's just me. So disciplinary committee has found Atlanta and Red Bulls in violation of mass confrontation policy in the 69th minute. Nice. Both clubs violated the policy for the first time this year, and an official warning has been issued to both clubs, Rob Valentino and Sandro Schwartz. Bartosz Slisz issued an undisclosed fine for inciting and or escalating a mass confrontation. And so you had that as a part of it too. Mark Delgado fined and suspended for a match for serious foul play under disciplinary committee parameter 3 against Austin. He gets to serve his one-match suspension against the Dynamo on the 19th. Guilherme Biro has been fined, and he's been fined an undisclosed amount for failing to leave the field in a timely and orderly manner in the 90th minute of Austin's match against LA Galaxy for his foul on Ricky Puig. Disco found Galaxy and Austin in violation of the mass confrontation policy in the 60th and 90th minute of their match on October 5. Galaxy violated the policy for the second time this year, fined an undisclosed amount issued to the club and Craig Vanny. Austin violated for the third time this year, fined an undisclosed amount issued to the club. Due to their roles, Novak Mikovic, Zavaleta, Cuevas, Neal, and Peck, as well as Jojan Valencia, Danny Pereira, and Jadar Obregon, all issued an undisclosed fine for entering the field of play in a confrontational manner during a confrontational incident and inciting and or escalating a mass confrontation. No word on any additional punishment for Guilherme Biro so far, because we talked about the Biro incident involving the tackle on Ricky Puig. So as of right now, nothing extra for Biro. So we'll see what happens there. So that was your disco cleanup. So Dylan Nealis gets a fine after taking down Mosqueda. Warnings to the club and Rob Valentino, and Bart Sleesh gets an undisclosed fine for inciting and or escalating a mass confrontation. So that was all a part of the Atlanta United match on against Red Bulls on the weekend. So also on the board, Jordan mentions Australia had a nice win in the World Cup over in the qualifiers this morning over China. So good morning, Jordan. Morning, Bart. Morning, Tommy. Morning, Nix. Morning, Alex. Morning, Brandon. Thanks for coming by, as you always do. So also on the board before we go, and I know we're in the plus, but that's because we had a lot of stuff to talk about. Nations League is going on today. We'll go over the juice boxes in a sec. Gareth Southgate has ruled himself out of the running for the United job if Ten Hag is sacked. He's like, nah, talk to me in a year. There are a couple of stupidity down here moments where the law student who really said a horrible and reprehensible thing on social media to Bukayo Saka has avoided jail time. Erling Haaland says, I do not regret throwing a ball at Gabriel's head. Harry Kane has been ruled out of starting for England against Greece. Jurgen Klopp has been disowned by Dortmund fans after landing the new role as the head of Red Bull Soccer. Another addition of stupidity down here, a German footballer who was asked to sign a kit that had a rainbow on it, says, I'm not going to sign. And the article's at the Telegraph. I'm not going to read the headline. It's just that we get to reset the clock more than once today when it comes to stupidity down here. Manchester City's rivals are lining up damage claims now. Jeremy Wilson, Tom Morgan, Telegraph. Remember what we talk about? More than one author to an article and a byline. Manchester City expected to receive legal notices from rival clubs that reserve their right to seek damages. Claims for breach of contract generally have a 6-year limitation, and with allegations of Manchester City's rule-breaking emerging in Der Spiegel back in November 2018, there's a feeling inside the league that the clubs have to act to reserve their rights while football's trial of the century this week continues. City have always denied breaking rules, but such has been the time it's taken for the Premier League to investigate and bring charges. It's understood clubs are taking legal advice on the issue before deciding how to proceed. Any eventual arbitration between Premier League clubs is private, but City will have soon a much better idea of who intends to seek damages if an ongoing independent commission finds serious wrongdoings in the investigation of the rule breaches. So, City say they have irrefutable evidence to support their innocence over alleged breaches and that they look forward to the matter being put to rest once and for all. So, that is keep an eye on other clubs seeking damages, possibly against Manchester City in the growing weeks and months. But we'll see what's going on. Women's soccer. Manchester City's women beat Barcelona for their first loss, meaning Barcelona's, in 6 months. First loss for Barca in 6 months. Manchester City were the ones to do that yesterday. So that was big news on the women's side of things. So remember, we got juice boxes to get into, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. And we'll take the tour and look at all the news that we have here this morning. Let's see. Sport. I need section sport. So we have Ryan Mason's going to stay at Spurs after he turned Anderlecht down. You have, let's see, Mazraoui sidelined for a few weeks after undergoing a heart procedure. So keep an eye on that. And I think that's it. Well, hang on. Football. As I sit here and scan, I think that's it for the Times. Is there anything going on at the Guardian before we get into other gossip, rumor, and innuendo, and anything else on the board? What did I have in Major League Soccer that I wrote down? Oh, the dates. Yeah, the dates are now officially official for expansion and roster reserves and things like that. All right, somebody make sure that Jessica Charman is nowhere near able to hear, but her ears might be burning anyway. Reading's sale has been jeopardized by owner Dai Young's £55 million debt to a Chinese bank. The bank is understood to have blocked the sale to Rob Kuig. Documents show unpaid debts secured against the stadium. His repeated attempts to sell the club are being jeopardized by his failure to repay the undisclosed debts. A loan from Haitong International Securities caused the collapse of the £30 million takeover by Rob Kuig last month. Documents showing the investment bank has the right to take ownership of Reading Stadium if it is sold without the debt being repaid. Reading announced on Monday they entered exclusive negotiations with another buyer, but the stadium issue remains unresolved. Ownership will pass to Haitong if the loan remains outstanding after the club is sold. According to documents, EFL had not been told the identity of the new Reading bidder. Sources skeptical a sale will take place. Haitong is merging with another Chinese bank, Guotai Junan Securities, to create the country's biggest bank with assets of about £175 billion. Haitong is understood to have effectively blocked last month's sale by obtaining a stop notice in the British Virgin Islands, where the stadium is registered for tax reasons, which prevented it from being transferred to Kuig's company, Redwood Holdings. Kuig was not informed until late in the process about Yong's debt to Haitong, which is secured against the club's stadium. The EFL was also not aware of the loan, despite being asked to approve the sale. The possibility of an EFL stadium falling into the ownership of government-backed Chinese banks could have political ramifications at a time when the governance of football is heavily being scrutinized in Westminster. So if Jessica Charman's ears are now burning and you see anything coming from her social media accounts, then this is why. So we're going to go ahead and see if she saw this morning out of the Guardian, and we'll post it and see what Jess has to say. I know that Jess, if Jess legitimately, if Jess could buy Reading, she would. If Jess could buy Reading, she absolutely would. To Jordan's point, Australia beat China 3-1. Popovich is reuniting the campaign, according to our friends at the Guardian. Also, let's see if there's anything else going on. Oh, and this is also required reading. Go to Defector. The San Diego Wave employees, or 5 employees that have filed lawsuits, 4 plus a Jane Doe, filed a lawsuit against the club alleging discrimination and harassment. Go to Defector. They've broken it all down. Defector has a great play-by-play of the suit and who are the plaintiffs in the case. So the NWSL and the Wave have been named as defendants. So keep an eye on that. What to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. Here's what you do in that regard. And gossip, rumor, and innuendo before we get out of here. And once again, I know we're long, and thanks for hanging out with us as long as you always do. Things like Manchester United might be preparing a £59 million article bid for PSG's forward Randall Colomawani. Real Madrid want to sign William Saliba from Arsenal as a top priority in 25. They're already in contact with the player, allegedly. Galatasaray looking to make Victor Osimhen's loan move a permanent. Chelsea remain interested, and the 25-year-old will cost $68 million in January or £63 million next summer, according to Corriere dello Sport. Manchester City are considering Porto keeper Diogo Costa as a replacement for Ederson, but that would cost £63 million. Manchester United have made Ben Chilwell a top target for January. Ten Hag is preparing, as usual, for the club's next match against Brentford following a meeting of the hierarchy that lasted 6 hours. Martin Zubimendi's reiterated his desire to stay at Real Sociedad despite speculation of interest from Manchester City. Crystal Palace is going to step up in their pursuit of Hammarby's 18-year-old forward Bazumana Toure, who's also of interest to United and Celtic. Arsenal still looking to get a striker in the January window despite the promising start of the season by Kai Havertz. Virgil van Dijk next in line for a new contract after the club secured the long-term future of Ibrahima Konate. Spurs, Arsenal, and Newcastle all interested in Aston Villa's youth midfielder Jacob Ramsey. Newcastle might sell Callum Wilson in January to facilitate a move for a new forward. Marseille are in advanced talks to sign Paul Pogba, according to the Mirror. And Fabrizio Romano said that Pogba was going to have his Juve contract terminated following his ban. So keep an eye on Olympique Marseille. So now, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it before we get out of here. Remember, tomorrow it is hopefully our friends from Beyond Goals Mentoring looking for Jason to drop by and catch up with everything involving Atlanta United, involving Major League Soccer in general, and on the college games. So we'll hopefully catch up with Jason and get you ready for the weekend. Anything else on your mind that is coming across the desk here on a Friday. Soccer on TV today, 4 games in World Cup qualifying. We mentioned CONMEBOL. We talked about it a lot. BN's AFCON qualifying, 3 o'clock, Algeria and Togo. If you do not have BN, you can get BN from our friends at Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. Get you Fanatis, which gets you all the BNs, Nuestra Tele for the fans, TIC, CDO, Liga 1 Max, 1 Max Pro, all of that stuff. You can get it in one place at Fanatis. FS2 has group play in Nations League. Coming up top of the hour, Latvia, North Macedonia, England, and Greece at 2:45. Canadian Premier League at 8 with York and Pacific. BN and Espanol simulcasting AFCON. 2 to NA has Israel and France, Nations League at 2:45. FIFA Plus has the World Cup 26 qualifying, and it's either early in the morning or late at night. So tonight, New Zealand and Tahiti's at 10 o'clock. Fox Soccer Plus, Moldova and Andorra is at noon. Finland, the Republic of Ireland at 2:45. One Football has the qualifying from all around the planet. Jordan, South Korea, UAE, North Korea, Qatar, Kyrgyzstan, Bahrain, Indonesia, Oman, Kuwait at noon. Iraq, Palestine, Saudi Arabia, Japan at 2. CONCACAF Nations League group plays on Paramount Plus, 5 matches. French Guiana and Honduras, which got moved 177 kilometers because of the state of the stadium. And the teams both found out about it yesterday. Honduras was not happy. Bonaire, Montserrat at 4, along with Cuba and Trinidad and Tobago. St. Vincent and the Grenadines and El Salvador at 9. Nicaragua, Jamaica at 10. Pay-per-view has the 4 matchups in CONMEBOL qualifying. VIX has all of the Nations League qualifying. So that's what's going on there. In soccer, in college soccer, it is all the activity from Wednesday. Thursday, you've got 6 matches on the men's side, all on ESPN+. 4 o'clock, 7:30, 8, and 10, various conferences and divisions, some Division 1, Division 2. A lot of women's soccer going on today. It is all on ESPN Plus or ACC Extra. It is Mountain West, Big West. It is ACC. B1G Network has Michigan State and Oregon at 9:30. It is Big Sky. It is SEC. It is Sun Belt. It is Conference USA. It is Horizon. It is, let's see, who am I missing? It is Big 12. It is, as I go up, it is North Florida, Central Arkansas. So that is Division 2, and that is Gulf South Conference. It is Liberty and Sam Houston, so Conference USA. And it is Evansville and UIC, so Missouri Valley-ish and Horizon. Like I said, I'm working my way backward. So you've got Pac-12 or Big 12 going up against American. So the American Conference is engaged. The SEC is engaged. Iron Bowl tonight at 7 o'clock. Alabama and Auburn on the women's side. Queens University, Bellarmine Division II is available. And Coastal Carolina and App State. That's at 6 o'clock on the network. Once again, Big Sky, Idaho and Montana. And literally, it's all over the place. West Georgia, Eastern Kentucky is at 4 o'clock if you're interested. Georgia Southern Old Dominion is at 2. So there's a lot going on in the college game. So feel free to follow along on your favorite providers there as well. Long-ass show, because there was a lot to talk about. And I'm sure that I left some things on the table, like the dates of all of the activity that is involving like expansion and things like that. Those calendar dates have been put out there. So if your favorite club is trying to get ready to do things expansion-wise, then those activities are out there, and you can keep an eye out for all of the activity that's there. And we'll get into that and get into all of those dates as we get closer to what's going on. So thanks to Niko. Thanks to Nino. Thanks to all y'all. We made it. So we'll be back in a little less than 22, more like 21 and a half at this point. And what we will do is come back and we'll get you ready for the weekend. Very, very busy weekend on a bunch of different fronts. We'll have all the news that's available to you, get you ready for what's going on, the 2 matches in Major League Soccer, and everything else that's going on. So for everybody here at SDH, I'm just John. Thanks for dropping by, as you always do. And thanks for being a part of everything here at the network. Couldn't do it without you. Go vote at footballcontentawards.com/voting. Vote for SDH. Vote for SDH, yo, I guess is probably the best way, as we're going up against all the big dudes that are there, that are going up against all the other competition, of which we are a part. And we get to do that every single day here at SDH. Couldn't do it without you. So once again, thanks for dropping by. It means I play the outro. We're out the door. See you in about 21 and a half. Play it safe, everybody. Mucha plata.